Game Freak has an honestly pretty short history when it comes to reversing decisions they made in previous games. A vast majority of the Gen 1 Pokemon still are as they were when they first came out, minus Megas and Special Evolutions, but we don't talk about those here. Whether they stay the same because they're confident in their perfection or fear of upsetting those whose nostalgia knows no bounds, we may never know. But what we do know is some decisions made by Game Freak are not as beloved in the eyes of the people as they are with the company. I have multiple shorts as a small creator talking about how X Pokemon should have their typing modified, and they jump to the hundreds of thousands of views, along with many comments adding other Pokemon that the people believe need a change. Now, this isn't a criticism to Game Freak before I have the drooling crowd of Pokemon fans are never happy. This is just what myself and other people feel would enhance the games. It's not a slight on the Pokemon as they are now. I think all these Pokemon are amazing and serve their purpose well, especially relative to their generation. But as I've stated before, when a Gen 1 Pokemon is brought into, say, Scarlet and Violet, and their design warrants a dual type based on precedent seen elsewhere in the newer gens, I think Game Freak could give them a dual type. I think it would stand to benefit the games and keep them fresh, especially for the dweebs like me and you, yes you, who spend all their time on Pokemon TikTok and know everything there is to know about typings to the point where some battles feel redundant. I'm fully lying, by the way. I have a shitty ass memory. I suck at battling, but I digress. To justify my beliefs in this video, I'll also be using clips and references to the anime. If that nullifies my opinion in your eyes, I would recommend maybe looking away, but like, keep the video maybe on mute. I kind of want that watch time, and please drop a sub while you're here. For starters, I want to bring you through some of my most popular takes on TikTok. I also want to be honest, some of these are rage bait, but don't tell anyone. Solgaleo should have been a fire type. There, I said it. You can come at me all you want, hate me, string me up, do what you have to do, but if we're being honest, I don't care that the sun isn't really made of fire, because there's a move called Sunny Day, and guess what type it's categorized under? Fire. Of course, I understand the arguments against Solgaleo being fire, and though I think it fits a hell of a lot better than Psychic, I'm willing to meet in the middle and say if Palkia isn't a steel type, neither should Solgaleo. Nah, I'm fucking with you. When I made that reel, I genuinely did forget that the sun wasn't fire, and the typing does make sense for the most part, though given his color scheme and the Luna's fuck-ass typing, I really don't feel so embarrassed about my take anymore. Another one that hit pretty well on TikTok, though it was received with its fair share of criticism, was that Blastoise should have been a dual type with steel. I think we can see where I'm going with this. Dude has 2 metal cannons on his back. I got into a debate with a friend recently over whether or not 2 steel blasters that shoot water should count as steel type, with the precedent being that Lucario has 2 spikes that dictate his typing. The problem my friend had was that the blasters shoot water, so it's different, and to that I say no they fucking don't. Look at the clip, feast your eyes. Not 1, not 2, but 3 beams of something other than water. He also has multiple steel moves in regards to his shell and the blasters, so when everything is said and done, this is a hill that I'm willing to die on. I know that steel wasn't out in Gen 1, hence my prior disclaimer about old Pokemon being added to new games. Squirtle was in Scarlet and Violet. Steel type is in Scarlet and Violet. Do you see kind of where I'm going with this? My last take that I'll leave you with is probably the one that will piss you off the most if I haven't already. Incineroar. God, saying that name gives me goosebumps. We all know that that little fucker should have been a fighting type. There, I said it. There it is. I know the whole thing is that he's a heel, which means that he's the bad guy in the wrestling world. I understand that bit. It just sucks that I do not care. Here's my problem, right? If the precedent was set that every single dark type had to be evil, then sure, I think that this had more weight, even though I wouldn't be happy about it. But not every single dark type is evil. Absol is the perfect example of a misunderstood Pokemon who isn't evil. People are just quick to judge and hateful. Absol was mistaken as a Doombringer. They're really super chill once you get to know him. So with that context in mind and the fact that he very clearly is a wrestler and a fighter, it feels like a cop-out to go, oh, but he's an evil wrestler, so he doesn't need to be a fighting type. Like, I understand that we had too many firefighters, right? But like, Incineroar doesn't even look good in Litten's evolution line. You're telling me Litten to Torracat to this? Why was he even designed that way if you don't want to make another firefighting dual type? You could have went with anything else. Did not have to make him stand up on his own 2 feet. Let me know what you guys think, and if your argument is that there's too many firefighting types, just backspace the comment now. I genuinely do not want to hear it. Now with this, I also understand the fact that it's heavily debated whenever I post a short criticizing. Typically when a Pokemon has an initially odd typing, there's something in their dex entry or lore alike to explain or justify it. Solgaleo excluded, of course. There doesn't need to be an explanation as to why he's not fire. I just clearly failed 6th grade chemistry, and so did the person who made Sunny Day apparently. But I understand the idea that a lot of things come down to balancing as well. Blastoise as a starter might have had his whole bag fucked up if he got a new type that's not only strong against certain stuff, but also weak as well. It's like the Charizard being a dragon type debate. I fully understand why Big Unk can't have that be a reality, at least for Gen 1. But Gen 2 and further, when the game isn't making Charizard the first Pokemon that you get, if they put it in the end game, how can you complain? It's no different than getting a busted legendary long after it'd be useful to have them. Surely your team is strong enough in the end game that a broken Charizard would be no different than getting like a Darkrai and taking him to the Elite Four. Maybe that's just me, but some more like borderline pseudo legendaries with nostalgia factor added on would just be a net positive for Pokemon. Hey, little side note for you, since you made it this far, I'm gonna go ahead and assume you might just like Pokemon. I'm gonna be streaming Legends ZA on the day of it releasing here on YouTube. Gonna be making lots of content about it afterwards as well. Drop a sub and turn on the noties to see when I go live. Thank you. Back to your regularly scheduled program. All in all, in terms of balancing, I think reworking Pokemon is a more than understandable situation, especially in a world where Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were released as they were with the amount of fire type Pokemon that it had. Mistakes are always going to be made when balancing a game, especially one with this many variables, and I'm never going to say, oh, Game Freak should have got everything right the first time. In fact, the whole point of this video is to say the opposite. I think revisions to specific Pokemon would be welcomed by most, and I think it gives Game Freak a better avenue to fixing mistakes other than creating entirely new rosters of Pokemon and throwing out the ones they messed up on the previous generation. What do you guys think? Should Pokemon have their typing choices retconned, or should things stay as they were released? Basically, are you the old man scared of change or not? Thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop a sub, and I'm very happy to be back to a semi-consistent upload schedule. See you guys in the next one.